All right, so we've already looked at which angles come out the same on when you have two parallel lines in the transversal. We're going to look at some examples where they have a question mark. This is a little hard to read. It says 117 degrees, and then the question mark's down here. If you know one angle, you can actually find all of the other angles. So on this first example, I'm going to show you how that works. So if this is 117, that means that this one is also 117, and this one's 117, and then where the question mark is, that's also 117. So my answer would be 117 degrees. So it's pretty easy if you know what the relationships are. But I also want to talk about, well, what are all of the other angles? So remember that if I have a straight line, that's a straight angle with both of these added together, that all of this would be 180. So this angle over here would be whatever I get if I take 180 minus 117, which comes out, let's borrow, 63 degrees. So this one would be 63, this one's 63, 63, and 63. So if you know that these lines are parallel, and you know one angle, you can actually find them all. And they don't tell us in the directions that these are parallel, but they have these little arrows right here and right here. That means that they are parallel. It's a special symbol they put on the lines. They put a little arrowhead in the middle of the lines, and then you know that those are parallel. Okay? So when we go through these, we have to ask ourselves, are these going to be the same, or are they going to be add up to 180? So if I look at number 2, these two angles that are next to each other, are they going to be the same? These two angles going to be the same? No. But I know that this question mark would be the same as this angle up here, and I know that these would have to add up to 180. So that means that these would also have to add up to 180. Add up to 180 degrees. So I can find the question mark by just taking 180 and subtracting 53, which I'll do really quick, and it comes out 127 degrees. So that's the question mark right here. So if they're not equal, then that means that they add up to 180 degrees. And that's called supplementary angles if they add up to 180 degrees. So these angles are supplementary. And that just means that they add up to 180. Any two angles that add up to 180 and make a straight line, there's that special name for them. They are called supplementary. So a little vocabulary happening as we do this. Okay? So if we go down to number 3, here's my question mark, and I have that this one is 80. What are we going to do? What's the relationship between these?
You add them together to make.
Would they be?
No.
So let's look. This is 80. That means this is 80, which means this one's 80, and this one's 80. All of those would be 80. So I don't actually have to do any math on those. I just know that these are going to be the same, and I can just answer 80 degrees. You could also check, if you wanted to, by tracing this angle and then doing what we did on the other page, rotate it and just make sure that it matches up, just to convince yourself. Okay, so on number 4, I have two angles that are next to each other that make a straight line. And anytime you make a straight line, those have to add up to 180 total. So that means these are supplementary angles. So we would take 180 and subtract 49, and we get 131 degrees. So anytime they make a straight line, you know that they're going to add up to 180 as well, which we talked about a little bit. We were doing our exterior angle theorem. All right, so let's look at number 5. So what do you think? Are they congruent angles or are they supplementary? Are they the same or do they add up to 180? Like the question mark and here's 60. Okay, Felicity thinks that they're the same. So this is 60, this one would be 60, this one would be 60, and that one would be 60. Those are all the same, so that question mark is 60 degrees. Okay. Let's look at 6. What do you think about these two angles?
It's going to be 80.
Okay, so these we know have to add up, because they make a straight line, they have to add up to 180. So that means this is 100. 180 minus 100 is 80. So 80 degrees is what that question mark would have to be. And they definitely don't look like they're the same angle. So that's also another clue. Okay, what about number 7? Here's 64 degrees, there's our question mark. What do you think? Ah, those are going to be the same, 64 degrees. And if you have to, go back and look at our picture that we had over here. On the inside, they're sort of crisscrossed. If they're across from each other this way, then they are the same. And the same thing with the angles on the outside. If these are across from each other this way, those are the ones that are the same. So we can just use that relationship that we found and go, oh, those are going to be the same. This is 64, this would be 64, this is 64, that's 64. All 4 of those angles would come out the same. Okay, so let's look at number 8. So this one's 69, that means this one would be 69, this one would be 69, and that one would be 69. That question mark would not be. So this would add up with this 69 to make 180 degrees. So if they're on the same side inside the lines here, we know that those are supplementary, and we would actually add those, subtract from 180. So 180 minus 69, so 8 becomes 7, and we get 111 degrees for that angle. This would be 111. And then all of those other angles would be 111. This is 111, this is 111, and that's 111.